December 20th, 1943, over northern Germany, 25,000 feet above the Earth. A lone American bomber limps through the frozen sky. Its fuselage is torn open, the tail is barely attached. One engine is dead, another is on fire. Inside, 10 men wait to die. They've already accepted it. Then something appears off their left wing. A German fighter, not firing, not diving, just flying beside them. In Nazi Germany, the order was absolute. Destroy the enemy, no exceptions. What this pilot does next will violate everything he was trained to believe and haunt him for the rest of his life. The American aircraft is a B-17 Flying Fortress, part of a bombing raid over Bremen. Its pilot, Second Lieutenant Charlie Brown, is 21 years old. This is his first combat mission. It's supposed to be routine. It becomes a massacre. German flak tears into the formation. Fighters follow. Within minutes, Brown's bomber is shredded. The nose gunner is wounded. The tail gunner is unconscious. The oxygen system is failing. The intercom crackles with panic. Somewhere over Germany, the bomber drops out of formation, alone. That's when Oberleutnant Franz Stiegler sees it. Stiegler is not inexperienced. He's a veteran Luftwaffe ace, more than 20 confirmed kills. He scrambles in his Messerschmitt Bf 109 and climbs toward the damaged aircraft. From behind, it should be an easy kill. One burst, one victory, another mark on the scoreboard. But as he pulls alongside, something stops him. Stiegler sees inside the bomber. He sees wounded men dragging themselves across the floor. He sees the tail gun silent, destroyed. He sees holes in the fuselage big enough to crawl through. The bomber isn't fighting, it's dying. And suddenly, Stiegler remembers something his commander once told him. "If I ever hear of you shooting a man in a parachute, I will shoot you myself." To Stiegler, this is the same thing. These men are defenseless. Killing them wouldn't be combat, it would be execution. But disobedience in the Luftwaffe is not theoretical. Pilots have been court-martialed, imprisoned, executed. Still, Stiegler does not fire. Instead, he tries to signal. He points toward neutral Sweden, then toward German airfields. Land, surrender, live. Charlie Brown doesn't understand. He only knows one thing. If he lands in Germany, the crew becomes prisoners, or worse. So he keeps flying. Through German airspace, directly past flak batteries. And then Franz Stiegler does something unthinkable. He escorts the bomber. Flying wingtip to wingtip, he positions his fighter so German anti-aircraft gunners won't fire. He shields the enemy aircraft with his own body. For several minutes, a German fighter protects an American bomber from Germany's own defenses. When they reach the coast, Stiegler pulls alongside one last time. He looks directly into Charlie Brown's cockpit. The two men lock eyes. No words, no radios, just understanding. Stiegler raises his hand and salutes. Then he breaks away. Brown watches the fighter disappear behind him, convinced he's hallucinating. The bomber barely makes it back to England. It never flies again. 10 men survive because one pilot disobeyed an order. When Brown reports what happened, his commanding officer cuts him off. "You will never speak of this again. Mercy is dangerous. It complicates war." So Charlie Brown stays silent. So does Franz Stiegler. For decades. Brown builds a career. So does Stiegler, after surviving the collapse of Nazi Germany and emigrating to Canada. But neither man forgets. Brown suffers nightmares for 40 years. Stiegler wonders if the bomber ever made it home. Then in 1989, Brown finally breaks the silence. He writes a letter to a veterans newsletter. One detail stands out. The German pilot saluted. In Canada, an old man reads it. He knows. 4 words arrive in Brown's mailbox. "I was the one." When they meet in person, decades after trying to kill each other, they embrace, they cry, they become friends, brothers, for the rest of their lives. Franz Stiegler would later say that saving that bomber crew was the only thing he was proud of from the war. Charlie Brown said his nightmares stopped the moment he learned the pilot's name. World War II is remembered for orders followed without question. But history is also shaped by moments when someone refuses. Franz Stigler didn't stop the war. He didn't change its outcome. But in a sky built for killing, he chose humanity. And because of that choice, 10 men lived. Children were born. Lives continued. The order was clear: kill them all. One pilot disobeyed, and proved that even in war, being human is still a choice.